back in the day.
Well, coming into the industry during COVID, personally, I knew real producers right away, and my impression was completely different. It felt like something I should know about because they were holding this big party at Jet One, and I was like, cool. And I know that might be naive to say, but then I had the opportunity to meet you. And of course, anybody from my perspective, it was like, oh, this big company, that's my goal is to be a top producer, right? I'm looking in the eyes of that. And then I meet the guy that puts it on, and there might be this like, oh,
Was it a letdown or something?
where I'm going with this is I was pleasantly surprised and felt so welcomed when I met you and your now wife. I mean, whether you remember that moment or not, like that first interaction with you, it felt like, oh, I'm a part of. And that feels really good for any agent, but also for our community. Like it's a testament to what Naples is about. Yeah, there is some elite players here. There can be a lot of money here, people who do really well. But at the end of the day, I would say most of our residents and locals here are welcoming, warming, whether it be from the Midwest or Philly or wherever. It's just we all kind of come together. You gave me so much. I don't know. I just felt so welcomed at your event.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm glad I did. And the thing is, I came here just like you did. There's a ton of people. I mean, when I meet with people and they say they're from here, I'm like, you and 3 other people. You know what I mean? Like it's like there's not very many, and most of them moved away and then came back, right? Because they realized, wow, Naples is amazing. But most people are transplants, and I tell a lot of people that were like, oh, like how do you like living there? Yada yada. I'm like, I love it. This market isn't like a good old boys club kind of thing where they're not going to let you in and whatnot. They're actually very acceptable to people coming in, as long as you have good intentions, you're doing well for the community. I mean, you burn one bridge, you're out of this town though. So like it's a quick in, quick out too.
People has burned a couple.
Yeah.
Different episode.
But yeah, no, it is as big as Naples is. It is a small town, and we all know each other. We all kind of run in the same circles, and if you don't know them personally, you know one other person that might know. So
yeah,
it's the smallest, biggest town I've ever experienced, hands down. Like, and it's one person of separation.
Yeah,
right. If I don't know that person, there's one person between us, and that is it.
And I think for us, one of the goals of this podcast when we started is like Naples has that big small town feel, and it still has that local feeling about it, even with all the influx of newness that's coming to Naples. Our goal, or my goal personally, is to keep it that way as much as we can. Welcome everything new, and with this podcast, keep that conversation of like, this is our community. Like come join us.
Like
here we are. Yeah. So it's really important to hear that perspective of somebody who's been here a short time, but who's made a huge impact and is so involved. I mean, like, so many of the same people that I grew up with.
Yeah, I mean,
you know them. I'm like, oh.
I mean, it took a lot of time though. Like I'm blessed to know a lot of people, but people have asked me like, you're very connected or whatever. And I'm like, you do understand, like I do it each and every day, all day. Like before this, I had meetings with individuals and meeting new people. Like it's what I do constantly. And if that is your job, then go out and do it. And I'll say this to piggyback on what you said earlier, like the gentleman I met with today, without getting into names and stuff, like unbelievably connected, didn't anticipate how connected he was, arrived in a t-shirt and, athletic shorts and, let's just say multiple aircrafts and helicopters and whatnot. And you're like, okay, like, you know what I mean? And so it goes back to is like you don't know about this town and people don't want, he doesn't want the clout. He wants to be here. He wants to enjoy. He wants to relax. And it's just like, wow, that's beautiful. You go to the other coast and they're screaming it. Yeah. And usually it's rented, it's financed, right? It's not even theirs. Like the bank owns it, they just get to borrow it, right?
Yeah.
It's all a show over there. Here